How you doing? My name is Victor Vogel. Welcome to Communications Excellence here on Substack, and believe we're coming down and producing from YouTube also. So, uh, just trying to check and see if uh, we are coming across here, and if we are, we'll get started with our little topic today. And there we are. It says, guess what? You are live. Let's see if I can. One of the things I'm trying to figure out is how to see Substack while I'm doing this. So this is a little experimental as well as just what we're trying to do. Says it's live right now. Okay. This is showing a sort of a preview. I don't know what this is all about here. Close the test run, share. It says I'm live. So I am not sure. I'm just trying to take a look here. So if your live video is scheduled in 20 minutes, I have no idea why it's saying that. I don't know. We'll have to see. Maybe this will pop up. I have no idea why I scheduled it for 9 p.m. It should have come up on 9 p.m. I'm just not seeing it. I don't know if you are seeing it or not. So part of this is trying to get a handle on what I need to be doing to broadcast live on both of these topic areas, YouTube and so I am over here. I just put up a comments list. So if you're on YouTube and you're looking at this and you can just type in there hello and tell me where you're from, that would be really nice. It'd help me out a lot. But let's see. I'll put mine up here to see if we're popping up here. Okay. So that's in case we want to chat. I can do that. Really, this is sort of a test run video. So, but welcome anyway. We'll see. I'm just really live now with communication, but I cannot get it on my phone here, so that's the reason I am trying to figure out what's going on here. I'm trying to see. I don't know if you can type in. Oh, there it is. Okay, that's a preview though. All right. If you're live and you happen to be somewhere around Substack, I'd really appreciate you dropping me a note telling me you can see what's going on. Oh, I see. It's it's got it scheduled for tomorrow. So maybe that's the whole thing. I'm scheduling. I've got one going now and one scheduled for tomorrow, both. So let me get rid of that one. And let me see where we are now. That one's canceled. Golly, I must have created a mess. This one looks like it's showing right here. Man, I just need to kind of this is unbelievable. Okay, well, you just have to bear with me a minute while I'm playing with this to see what's going on. This says live, but I'm trying to see whether it's, yeah, it's saying the 26 too. I wonder how I cancel that one now. I guess I put the wrong date on it, is what happened. That happens to me because I have what's called essential shaking. And so I shake like this, and sometimes I'll hit something that says 25 and it'll take it on up to 26 or something like that. But let me just go back into Substack altogether and then come over here and see if there's a way to see if I'm live at all. Your live video is scheduled 25 minutes. Again, it's the wrong date. Don't know how to get it canceled on here. You would think I could just get out of all of this and just go to my profile and go live. So let me try that. I don't know if I know how to do that even. There. It says schedule live RTM. But I think it's thinking about the 26th date. Wow, this is, well, I'm not a technical wizard, so I don't claim to be. Let me write a message on here, send it and see. And it's not coming up there, so. That's not what I want to do or play with. So if we come over here and go up to my live, it says I'm live, share. And I don't know who I don't know what I would share it with, but I'm live. Right there, Vic Live. Along with a whole bunch of other people this time. They probably know what they're doing, so go watch them. Preview. I don't want the preview. I want to share. Send a message. We'll just say Vic on here. VIC. Send it. Oh, wait a minute. Looks like that might be my live. So see if that shows up. Okay, well, it must be that the messages are coming through on this particular screen on my phone, but they're not coming through on my computer here. So I must not be able to see Substack notes that you send me. So you can't share them. That's kind of crummy. That's not it. Okay, I'm broadcasting on my phone is what's going on. So when it looks like I'm broadcasting live from my phone, and I don't want to broadcast from my phone. I want to broadcast from my eCam program I have here for set up. So I'm going to just stay on the eCam and get off this phone altogether. If you are able to chat with me, let's see all. See what all is. Definitely not, that's definitely not where I want to be on that one. I wish I knew how to delete all this stuff. I need to spend more time on this, I guess. Or have somebody show me what to do. It's definitely am broadcasting on the phone there. I don't want to do that. I'm not set to do that. I guess that's what you're supposed to try to. I don't know. Well, I'm broadcasting. I'm pretty sure I'm broadcasting to you on this. So I tell you what, I am going to leave this phone alone. Leave it home alone. That's good. I'll leave my phone home alone, and I'll just stay with this. Go over here and just out of curiosity, see if I am broadcasting on YouTube also. Since this is an attempt here to get onto both, I should be able to go to my profile and go to my, let's see, let's go to my, there we go. There I am, right there, live on TV. Pretty sure I'm live on that one. Right there, live on TV. Yeah. I need to turn my phone off or turn the volume down. Yeah. There we go. Okay, so I can see there. So I'm certain if I chat there, this is what's good about YouTube. When you go to YouTube, it does what it says it's going to do, and you don't have to jump through any hoops. So let me see. This is, let's see if I can type a message here on. Hi from Oklahoma. Hmm. Yeah, we hit that and send that as a message and see if it pops up on the screen. There it is. Yeah, there I am. Hi from Oklahoma. So I know I'm live on YouTube and you can chat with me on YouTube. So I'd run over and get to the Communications Excellence channel on YouTube and go in there. There should be a box there with saying live, and you can click on that and climb in here. And if you have questions or you want to talk to or chat with me, best thing to do is go do it through YouTube. I don't. We had this problem. I had this problem with LinkedIn also, and where we couldn't work with LinkedIn and see what they were chatting about. It seems like YouTube is probably the premier channel if you want to do this kind of stuff, and that's what we do. So, what did I want to talk to you about today? Because I can now begin this process and welcome you to Communications Excellence, and I can edit all the other stuff out later. At least I think I can. Or maybe I ought to leave it in there just for fun. But anyway, welcome to Communications Excellence. What's going on in the world today? From a communication perspective, it is awful noisy out there. One of the dilemmas I have with social media is it, by definition, disrupts to a severe extent actual interpersonal communications where people can talk to each other and share experiences, etc. It's not like you even on video conferencing, it's not like you're sitting across the table from someone or um, you're um, communicating with those people you're trying to reach. Now, you could be doing I could have a guest here as a podcast, set them up next to me, go back a little ways, set up a little table back there, and put some lights on it, and I could podcast with somebody, and we could talk to each other, and we would be having an interpersonal experience. But my target audience wouldn't be that person. And so I still would not know. And podcasters don't know unless they get a lot of these hearts and other kinds of things that people put up there. I don't know if you can do that or not. Let's see. Can you send hearts? I don't know. I'm not going to mess with it. But the situation would be you can send hearts or something, and that's supposed to tell you that you're liked, but you don't know who's liking you, and you don't know why they're liking you, and you don't know whether they even understand what the hell you're saying during this podcast. And that's called asynchronous communication because it's delayed. I mean, you could, if you knew who your audience was, then send out a form, or you could go knock on their door and sit down and say, "Look, tell me how you felt about what you saw," and you might get a response back from those people. So, everybody that's reaching millions and thousands and millions of people through social media isn't saying much whether or not they're truly connecting with America outside of people come back frequently and watch. Okay, that says something. That is a communication. It's a feedback, but it's a delayed feedback, and it's fraught with not understanding the whys of why they might be watching you. They may like the person, just the person who's doing it. And that happens if the person happens to be a celebrity. They could get millions of people coming on. They're not going to say a thing about whether you convince somebody to vote one way or the other or to do something. You don't know. You don't know the um, the breadth of your influence and your capability to help someone. You don't know that. And so this is one of the dilemmas I have with this process. But here I am because this is what everybody is choosing to say they want to do. What I want to do is say, you need to do more than this. You need to get out in your communities. And this is where I want to talk about it from a political standpoint. Uh, I at one time was in business consulting, was consulting in oil and gas and other finance and a bunch of other major kinds of businesses and industries. That's changing cultures. So it don't make any difference which industry, and you pretty much do the same thing through all companies to change cultures. Um, but when you're trying to communicate, trying to change an environment, try to help somebody understand some points of views, uh, you're not going to accomplish a whole lot in an hour or two of doing a broadcast. And if you listen to YouTube or Instagram or TikTok or Twitter or any of these other social media platforms, that's way too long. You can't possibly expect anybody to relate to you for an hour or two. You can't hold their attention on the video that long, so you can lose them. I guess you lose them. The same thing kind of applies as a consultant. I got to meet you. I got to shake your hand, and I was 3 feet away from you within your personal space, and that creates a connection. Just that, shaking hands with you 3 feet away from you, creates a connection that I have not got with you right here doing this. I have absolutely no way of knowing. And you're not going to type on there and let me know. And if you do, it's, either a heart or some devil guy with a mask on going crazy. I guess that means I hate it. This is awful. I don't know. But I don't even know to care because I don't know anything about who I'm communicating with on doing this. I'm supposed to know my audience. There's no way to know your audience. Now, one of the things that I truly enjoyed about consulting was the personal contact I got by going to the company, shaking hands with the senior staff, meeting with them, having lunch, talking about what we can do. And then they say, well, come back and give us a proposal, project scope on what you think you would do and what you think. And then we'll talk about it. I said, well, I have to spend some time within your organization a little bit. Yeah, and I'd like to conduct a couple of surveys to get a sense of the overall picture. What do you think? That's going to cost you a little bit, but you got the product of the survey. You can do whatever you want with it, or I can help you do something with it if we decide. So you can't make that kind of decision disconnected over a phone. Even if it were me and you sitting here talking to each other, I'm still not close to you. I still don't have a proximity that you would behave differently if I was within 3 feet of you than if I'm on a camera, maybe thousands of miles away, in a different country even. So I would tell you this. I think social media is good for introducing what you do, because you're not trying to connect. Well, you're trying to connect and let people know what you have, but you're not trying to convince them to buy it. You just you're creating awareness on social media. I think that's the biggest value it has, creating awareness. And I think it has no value creating connection. None whatsoever. Connection that counts, real connection. Connection you can measure and behavior change. Okay. Now, there are going to be people who disagree. There are going to be people who have gotten online with folks and talks for hours, and you kind of get a pretty good feeling. But there's a really big difference between sitting next to somebody or being in the room next to them while they're conducting a team session, being at the table with them. And your job is to assess what's going on in the team environment while they're there. But you're right there. They know you're there. They can sense you are there. That sensing, that nonverbal communication is about 90% of the impact you have on people. I don't know how you do that doing this. So, but that's a big part, I think, of why I would not be a good remote podcaster. Okay. One, I don't want to deal with all the technology. Obviously, I was on the front part of this when I was trying to figure out what's going on with Substack. If I had the money, I would just pay somebody to do all that crap for me. But I'm not on social media to coach you. I'm here simply to make you aware of what is possible for you to have. I am not a coach. I'm really not a consultant. I don't consider myself I guess I could be considered a consultant, but it's a different kind of a consultant. It's not the kind that comes in and it gets into all the, I do the assessments and we do the evaluations and all that kind of thing. But my purpose is not to start developing you as a leader. My purpose is to help you understand leadership. My purpose is to be a catalyst for you to take what you have. Because so many leaders I dealt with as a consultant they've been in the business for 15, 20 years. So I was doing something else with them. I wasn't teaching them to be a finance director. They've been a finance director and did a pretty good job of that, and probably 2 or 3 companies at that time with 20 years experience behind them. They probably had like 2 or 3 companies they've been in. And so, what are you doing here with me, Vic? I'm being a catalyst. Well, what's that mean? It means you have your hands on stuff and you're doing pretty good, but you're nowhere where you could be. You're nowhere close to where you could be. You could be delivering so much more, so many different things. And what you're missing are certain things. And that's how to connect with folks. So I come in and for example, I've worked with leadership that have been in position for, 15, 20, 25 years. they were acquired. It's a new company, and they're thinking about things differently. This person had been set for 10 or 15 years in this company doing the same thing consistently and effectively. And now they want him to change. And he or she does not even remotely have a sense of what that means or how to do that. And that's what I do. I come in and help you look at things that a little bit differently. Help you start looking into yourself, talking to you what it means to identify and live in an arena where flexibility, change, agency, all of these kinds of things are available and mean something and are appropriate for you to know, learn about, understand in order to adapt and change to what you need to be. Or I could be bringing you in and you could be sitting there consistently doing the same thing, but we didn't go to the next level. I can get you excited about going to the next level. That's what I do as a catalyst. I push you into a new realm. We look at things differently. And that's normally done because people think they know how to communicate because they can hear and talk. And communication, I've found, is that vehicle that I can use to help people push themselves somewhere else or somewhere different. But you have to understand how to do that, how to connect with them, how to relate to them, how to see them in a different way, how to get them to see themselves in a different way, to at least challenge them, to maybe look at it a little differently. And to do that is not easily done remotely. It's very difficult to do that remotely. I would struggle with doing that remotely. If that's the only option we have, I'd give it a try. But at some point, probably, we're going to have to get together where you can feel my presence with you and draw from that energy that I have. And I can sense your energy and strengths where you are, but I can also see your blind spots and point those out without threatening you or telling you this is the problem. I want you to discover this because you're going to heighten yourself. You're going to grow and expand beyond where you are now. And some people don't feel like, one, they can do that, or they don't feel like they need to do that. But that's where that's where your value is enhanced, when you're enhancing your value of yourself, you're enhancing your value to your company because you're going to see something different. You're going to take something in a different direction. It's going to enhance what you can do in your organization. And it's going to enhance you. It's going to enhance you. You're going to be different. You're going to be approaching things differently. You're going to be learning. And that's, I think, the thing that gets lost in organizations. There's several things I think we've made some mistakes on in developing leaders over the last 5 decades I've been doing it. Now, when I say make mistakes doing it, consistently across all corporations and all companies of all sizes and all businesses. We just haven't hit that yet. Are there consultants who can go out and significantly change people and change a department and change a company? Yes. And can that company be much better? Can they move forward? Can they leap those bounds? Yes, they can. And that's happening. There are people doing that out there. I know some really good people who do that well. worked with them, and I've seen them do it, and they're still doing it with companies, and their leadership are better. And when you go back a year or two later, they're still practicing those skill sets that they learned, and they're learning more. So that's an exciting adventure when you do that. It's something that gives you value in being able to help people move beyond, move out of a rut, move beyond where they are. That's where I enjoy my consulting, when I'm working with people who've been in the business for a long time, or they are experts at what they're doing, and you come in and you just start working with them as a catalyst to push them further, to push them different. Maybe they're going to go a different direction altogether. But it's to push them a little bit, to take them to the next level, to enhance them, to help them grow, and to help them realize they should never stop striving to grow. That they'll probably in their lifetime never achieve what they would like to achieve or could achieve if they to stretch out one more time, and then all of a sudden you run out of time and you don't have any more time to do that. But you did the best you could do at it. So being, working at it and being the best you can do counts for something. But it's hard to do as a consultant, or I would suspect as a coach who's really a good coach and can make a difference with somebody. I mean, truly make a difference, where you see significant behavior changes in the people they lead, and those people in turn are having a different view of the organization. That's when I know we're having some success, when I go in and we do an assessment and 30% of the people think, no, well, this leadership in this organization is really great. And people are going, see, we got 30% of our employees that think we're doing great. And I'm going, 70% don't. Why isn't that 70, 80%? What is it? What's there? And so what a catalyst does is that it ignites going. It is the underpinning. It is the source that ignites going further. So you come in and you say, why? Let's say you did a couple of things. You spent a few $100,000 sending some people leadership courses for a week, and they come back, and let's say they get their employees to the point where they're 50% of them are excited about the company, and you're still only operating at half your potential. So you should not be satisfied with that. And I talk to leaders in my career all the time that said, do you value development of people? Do you invest in development? Oh yeah, we invest, several $100,000s a year. In a couple of cases, in larger companies, several $1 million into leadership development and or development of skills in their areas. And we send people to these courses all the time. And I look at them and I go, so if we looked at the history of perception of leadership, and it appears that you're still having concerns with that area, but you spend millions of dollars. So have you ever asked the question why you're still struggling with that? Well, each time we get 1% or 2% better. And I'm going, for millions of dollars, you're getting 1% or 2% better. Is that the way you would run your business here and this service you were providing? You got to spend a few more $1 million, and I'll give you 1 or 2% better improvement. But I need you to go up $2 or $3 million to get that 1 or 2%. I wouldn't buy your product I would tell you to go jump on a lake. That would be crazy. The thing that I've found that is a catalyst to help an organization change its culture, change for the people who make that organization exist, that make the lifeblood. Yeah, I think of leadership as the heart and the blood system, the lifeblood system of an organization. They put energy into it's like your blood is creating oxygen and vitamins and nutrients, and it's carrying it all through your body and depositing it exactly where it's supposed to be to help your body and everything run effectively. And when that doesn't happen effectively, your body becomes sick. And I look at organizations very much like that. We're a closed system. Organizations are a closed system, and they're component pieces that should be doing. And one of the things that leaders do is they provide all the information, they provide all the skill sets, they provide all the knowledge base. And while they're out there providing all that, they're collecting up whether I'm getting junk from the rest of the organs and stuff out there, or the rest of the people in that organization. I'm getting, I'm going out there and I'm providing you new, fresh, good stuff, and then I'm bringing back information that is awful and murky and yucky, which tells me there's a problem somewhere I need to go down and fix. It's not much unlike diagnosing your health, or how your doctor diagnoses your health. And the tools that we get, the processes that we create to make that happen are pretty phenomenal. There's a lot of processes and systems we can take down there and put in the organization. And they'll tell us something's wrong. Yeah, boy, that department is awful. They're not delivering anything they should be delivering. It tells you they're not doing it. What it doesn't give you is a cause. And a lot of times that's why doctors treat things with pills. The symptoms get better, but you still have that underlying disease growing and growing and growing. So in an organization, you're doing the same thing. The thing that helps you find the true source of the issue is the connection you have with your people. They're the ones who can provide you the honesty and point you exactly to what's causing that problem. It's right here. See it? You can see it in my hands. It's not good stuff. Yuck. We need different things to make this better. Or we need to extract it out of the organization and put something in here that is fresh and clean and works well. All of that comes from your ability to connect. And your leaders are the lifeblood system that help all of the information, all of the things that are going on, the sensing things that are going on are represented through how leaders flow in the organization and how they process and then bring it from the bottom to the top and the top to the bottom and then out to the other rest of the organization. All those connections happen through leadership. So when you start deciding to eliminate your leadership, you're basically gutting a major part of your organ system of your body. Think what would happen if you just took your heart and all the blood veins and everything that where blood flows, you just eliminate that. So then you're dead. So I think what you want to do before you start thinking, I want to eliminate all my leadership, is what are you doing to your organization when you do that? And if that heart and blood system is not correct, it's clogged, or it's not pumping correctly, or whatever it is, if you could fix that, would that make your organization feel better? So if you have leadership problems, if you have people not connecting, dissatisfaction with leadership by employees, or your product's not getting where it needs to go, whatever that is, whatever those indicators are that are symptoms saying there's something wrong, and your leadership, as you go down and look at your leadership, the communication system is clogged. You're not getting the information you need, or the decision processes aren't happening the way they should happen, or the whole concept of what we think we should be doing just doesn't fit anymore. All of that, as you collect it and do your diagnostics, tell you sort of what's going on. But it's hard to get that. It's hard to get that remotely. I would have a hard time doing a full organizational culture change in an organization remotely. People are trying it. I would still say we have a lot to learn about how to make that work, how to make this technology deliver those nonverbal cues in a way that make you feel like I'm with you, standing next to you. Now, I know there's the attempt to do that, putting on goggles, and you're supposed to be able to reach out and sort of feel like you're touching somebody, but your body understands you're not. Your body is not designed to react to that. Now, you can get better and better and get your piece of equipment more attuned to that reaction by, listening, and the body says, no, that's not right. That's not right. Then you twerk your software and your hardware a little bit, and next time it does it, the body might react. It might say, yeah, it feels more like real life. And you could maybe get to that point. I think that's what they're striving to do. I think that is a long, long ways off. But in the meantime, we're trying to act like it's here now, and we just ought to change the wheels while we're flying. Change that flat tire, change out that whole landing gear suspension system while we're flying. And hope that when we land, it works. You have to be more sensitive to the reality of touching each other. So, how does all this play out with politics? So, who do you elect, and why do you elect them? Do you even really know? Do you really even know this person? I mean, even in a district race, let's take a community like Yukon, Oklahoma, where I am. I have no idea who's running for office. Am I interested? Yeah. Am I going out and finding out who is running and shaking their hand and saying, let me buy you some coffee and sit down here and talk with you about what you're thinking? No, I'm not. And 99.9% of the people who vote someone into office are not doing that either. So a candidate can literally just get on a social media thing and do an awareness thing and say, here's what I'm for. This is what all of you people say I should be doing, and I am going to do that when I go to this office. But you don't have any idea about his sincerity, his capability, whether or not what he is saying is in fact how he is feeling, or whether he's even competent to do that. We don't do background checks on candidates. we take the idea that they owned a company or they're a lawyer and they have a law firm or they work for a law firm. And because of that, they understand how to legislate what people need. What they understand is how to write law like lawyers so they can argue about it in court like lawyers argue. Nobody writes a law like people. So the common average person, have you ever read statute so and so, and we wrote this and then we put this in, we put that in at point 3 and point 7 and all of the things that got you look at them and go, condense this down to a paragraph that says what the hell you're doing. And they go, well, you got to take in all of these things, and why? Will that work? Will that make it work better? It doesn't make it work better. It clogs it. I need something that's going to work better. Now get your ass back there and write something that is a paragraph long that somebody can understand. If we do this, this is going to happen. This money is going to get to all these people. And because of that, all these people are going to have a better life. Whoever those people are, for whatever you're doing that we as a community say you need to do. We don't do that. We don't connect with the person. We don't connect with the person we put into office. Or you might not put a lot of them in office if you did. There's several in there now we shouldn't have put in office. Obviously. I mean, we're waking up, everybody's going, I didn't know. That's because you didn't take the time to find out. You didn't go meet them personally. If they came to your community, you didn't go there. If you were a community or a district of people, you didn't get together and put together a series of questions that would really pull out whether this person was going to do what you wanted to do, and have somebody ask that person for the whole group. Say, okay, here's something that all of us agree we need to know about. You tell us, how would you do? Tell us about you, or tell us how you would do that. And then have enough ability to assess what that person is providing you, the feedback they're giving you, and determine whether the emotion that person, the nonverbal cues that person has, are signaling to you that they're sincere and honest and want to do this. How do you read that? If you don't know how to read that, if you've never been trained to read that, if you've never been trained on how to connect to people, then you are useless in trying to make an assumption about who you're going to put into office. And if you're taking a commercial or a video where a person can go, okay, cut, I need to, where they do something where they go, everybody should have an education. We go, wait a minute, cut that. I need to read the. And then they go, I want everybody to have a communication. Now that appeals to a lot more people than everybody gets an education. So all this person is doing is, this is how he feels about it. I really have a hard time. I don't know if everybody should have a real education, but I'm going to say that. I don't believe it, but I'm going to say it. Everybody should have an education. I'm not going to do it when I get in office. How in the hell could you do that? So the consultant who's working with this person about connecting is saying, back up. You need to be more warm, be more sincere about what you say. So then they come on, they go, look, I lived that life. I know what it's like not to have an education. And you need to try to make sure everyone gets that education so everybody has a shot at being the very best they can be. And that's all just the difference in stopping one particular approach and convincing them to behave differently on camera. If you meet a candidate in person, live, and you hit them with that question, should every person get an education? They go, well, sure. You've caught them off balance because they don't really believe that, but they think that's what you want to hear. And so you go, so why would you care if I got an education? I mean, how are you going to know? And the next thing you know, they're scrambling. And then you realize they really hadn't thought about it. It wasn't on their agenda, but it is a major agenda for your community and your district. That's what you guys got together and said you wanted to have happen. Or it could be lower rent, lower rent prices. Guy could be a real estate guy. He's coming out of real estate, the real estate business, and guess who he's touched hands with? It's everybody who is making a lot of money selling real estate, not the people who are trying to rent an apartment at a reasonable rate. Now, he's going to be more interested in satisfying those people that own those apartments because that's where the money comes back to him staying in Congress. And it's a pretty good little living if you can earn $200,000 a year every year of your life for 30 years. And you don't have to pay for your health care or anything like that. Or if you do, it's just a little bit. Not like you. You out here, working, driving an Uber and trying to figure out how am I going to earn enough money driving an Uber to pay $1,000 rent for a small one-bedroom apartment. So this gets down to one way people try to convince folks is to coalesce, to bring them into a group and then try to create some values for that group and say, if you belong to this group, this is the way you think. And then let's elect somebody to speak for this whole group. And you want to do that to be able to have the efficiency to get what you want. But you have to make sure that person who's going to lead that group is connected to the group. That's your elected official. And you need to make sure they're focused on what you need. See, what we have now is we think we know what the values are for a Republican. We think you know what the values are for a Democrat. We're not sure what the values are for an independent, but it doesn't matter because they don't have enough people in their group to make the difference unless they join one of the other two groups. So then our job is to get them to join us because they're not big enough to make their own decision. So you need to stop thinking about being in a party. And you need to, as a group of people, think about what is the most important thing in this democracy, the most valued thing, the thing that's the hardest to change and to corrupt, and that is your vote. And you ought to guard that jealously. Okay? And what you need to stop doing is thinking in party terms and think about your community and what you're doing. So I think about, say, a community in Yukon, Oklahoma. How are our school systems? Oklahoma runs last in education. how secure and safe do we feel? Oklahoma is not known for its security and safety. It's got not the highest crime rate, not the lowest crime rate, but a fairly high crime rate. What's the average wage in Oklahoma? Oklahoma is generally a poor state. What brings its average wage up is there are a lot of people in the oil and gas business who make a lot of money. So like anything, you're skewed. Your data is skewed a little bit. Take all the executives out and just look at the middle class, and your income is not good in Oklahoma. Okay? So it's these things that you look at and your needs. I need lower rent. I need more apartments, more housing, so there's not a bidding war on rent. So the person with the most money can have some place to live, but I can't because I don't have that much money to be able to put towards it. There needs to be barriers around rent. This is what a value would be per square foot. And unless you do something to enhance that apartment's value, you can't raise your rent every year. It's fixed. Because this is a perceived percentage of profit you're going to get. And the only reason you would get more for that is if the cost of living went up a great deal, like 8 or 10%, or you made a favorable improvement in that apartment. It became bigger, more square feet. It became newer. You totally remodeled it. Okay? And then if inflation hits and you go to your renter and you say, as a landlord, you say, we got to raise the rate of the apartment by 8% because, inflation's up 8%. I always come back and say, it's up 8% for me too. So why are you telling me that's the reason you need to raise your rent? I need to understand something about the value of the apartment that makes me realize that if I'm being hurt by inflation, why do I have to eat it, but you get to charge me for it? That doesn't make sense. Inflation hits us all. So you suffer through your inflation, I'll suffer through mine. And if you want to raise the price of the apartment, you've got to show the value increase for me to be able to have to pay that. Otherwise, inflation is not one of the things you can use. It's always disproportionately hurting the poor person more than it is the others. So you want to change that. So who are you going to vote for? How do you know that they are going to do that or know how to get that done in the legislation? You got to talk to them. They have to sit down at the damn table in front of you and answer all your questions. And it can't be that they are a smooth, charismatic talker. They need to understand what you expect of them. Okay? I need you to make sure no landlord can use inflation to raise the price of rent. Because inflation hits me and it hits them too. Same way, 8%. We're both hit by 8%. I now have 8% less buying power. They have 8% more cost. We're both going to suffer when inflation hits. Best we elect people that don't raise inflation. How do we do that? We got to figure out if they know what that is. How would you reduce that, Mr. Congressperson? How would you balance this so that we both don't get hurt? What are you going to do about that? How are you going to get that done? When can I expect that? When can I expect that bill? Can I expect it in the first session? Second session? But you best not tell me the third year or the second year, because I'm sorry, that's too long. So the next thing you do is you say, as a group of people, not Republicans, not Democrats, not independent, frankly, not anything other than people, one person, one vote, 5,000 people in this small community district, this small town that has a vote, and send somebody up there to help us take the pressure off we're feeling. Okay, well, what our needs are. You got to get together and give up your party crap and talk about what you really need as people. You're going to find that's what you really have in common. It's not being a human being, it's people. Being people. It is being a human being, but what you have in common are what's necessary for us as human beings to do and live like human beings. So I would say to you this, one, don't rely on social media to do this, folks. Organize small groups of people. If you have a district, break that down into smaller groups, neighborhoods, or whatever. And then learn how to get together and become a group that's cohesive, a team, if you will. Do some team building. Get some people who know how to do that. There are people in your community who can do that. Okay? Then when you come together, bring a contingent of people who you feel comfortable represent you into the district, and then do the same thing. Forget about parties. Here's what the needs are. We've defined the needs. We defined what we expect that is measurable from meeting those needs. We've got all of that we put together as a district. And that's a town hall, folks. That's a town hall that's going to deliver a product. Because what you have is all of the small communities coming into a district, and they have clearly defined just the top 3 things that you're going to have to get done that will make our life much better if you're up there, and make us excited if you get it done. And then you bring your Congress people. Don't just bring the representative in and then bring the senator in. Bring them all in at one time and say, we don't see you as senators or representatives. We see you as people who are supposed to provide us what our needs are. And that you have to work together in making those things happen up there in Washington. So we have you here together as a group. So we're going to ask you, here are the 3 things we need you to work on. We're telling you what we feel the results want to be. And if you don't get those done, we're going to do a recall demand. Because one of the first things is you need to get a bill passed saying we can recall you if you don't deliver what we say we want. If we don't like you, if you're not delivering, you're not doing the job, we can fire you. Take you out of Congress, put somebody else that we can hold a special action, put somebody else in. Until we get somebody who will do those things that we tell you we need. That is a town hall. Not a bunch of people bitching or griping or yelling or screaming at each other. People who created a product that they need to have done and are doing a job interview a screening process to determine whether the people they elect can actually do it or not. And then setting the boundaries about their performance appraisal. You know, I'll tell you what, if I would probably fire anybody, I would say, let's kick out anybody who doesn't go to the meetings, who, even if the head of of the house said, we're going to take 2 weeks off when they're supposed to be in there working, I would say if we had the right to eliminate anybody, we would say, if you come home and you don't do your work up there, just stay because you're fired. We're going to send somebody else back soon. We're going to have a quick, rapid election, and we're going to send somebody back there to do the job. You don't get to say, no, I'm not going to do my job. I can't do it. You can't do it. And then have them go around to each of these small, when they come home for their week or whatever it is, have them make sure they visit every one of those small districts and or small groups, neighborhoods, if you will. They got to sit down and show what they're doing, show what the issues are, make you understand why they can't do something and why they can do something, and what they can do and what they're going to do. And you need to feel good about all that before you send them back. But we don't have a performance review for Congress. We can't put them on suspension. We can't give them a 90-day notice or a 30-day. I don't even think they deserve a 90-day, a 30-day notice. That if you don't clean your act up, well, you're out of here. You know, you're fired. And we're going to put somebody in here who will do that. What we want, not what you want. Not what PAC organizations are getting you, not what lobbyists are after you about. What we, the people who had this town hall with you and laid out, and you said you were going to do what we said, and you didn't do it. You better have a damn good reason, because if you don't, you're not going back to Congress. We're going to call a special election while you're here. We're going to fire you. We're going to elect somebody else to put in there. That would be a democratic society. That is the way communities ought to engage. That should be your responsibility as people in the community. Everybody get in there and start participating. And don't make anybody feel like they don't have something to say. You know, if this person is extremely poor, is out almost on the street, and has no education, they have a say. They have one vote. The same one vote you have if you run a wealthy business in that town. Everybody gets brought in. Everybody gets a say. Everybody comes to consensus on what we want. Not compromise, but a consensus. And we all learn how to do that together. Organizations run better when that happens. Communities, democracies run better when that happens. That happens because in the community, not on social media, not on TV networks, not on large newspapers, the community gets together and is talking about what's needed and if it is changing or not. You have control. You have that one vote. Everybody has it. That's really, when you think about it, the most phenomenal thing about democracy. One person, one vote. It's all as equal as it can possibly be. There's no financial issues. There's no racial issues. There's no gender issues. One person, one vote. there is an age issue, you know. Children are just stuck with whatever their parents are voting. But if you're a child, ask your mom and dad if you can go to the meeting with them. That's what you should be learning. That's that apprentice kind of education about civics that needs to be brought into the community. Okay, I'm done. I'll cut the part out early on. This other stuff you need to pay close attention to. You need to get together and as a community and as an individual, don't use the social media to do this. Start meeting in person in your community. Quit worrying about Michigan if you're in Texas. Quit worrying about South Carolina or North Carolina if you're in California. Worry about your community in California. And everybody else, worry about your community. And stop saying you're Democrat or Republican or whatever. Whoever started that, I don't know. I understand what they're trying to do and consolidate a value or a culture that it should be. But you need to understand this country is changing as rapidly as you change as a person. You're not the same person you were when you were 14 or 15. Okay? It's going to change. And we need to have the flexibility to adapt as it changes. We need to have that agency, that one vote, one person should be our agency to change and adapt. All right. Have a good evening. I'll leave all this portion on because this is where we need to connect. You have a good evening. And go vote.